China, people don't have any property rights, pretty much no rights at all. No rights to defend themselves, no rights to speech, but do have fireworks. Welcome back, beautiful, amazing human beings. This is Luke Rudowski here of WeAreChange.org. And there is a lot of absolutely crazy, unhinged, delusional, lunatic news happening right now. As of course, we have a lot of people losing their ish as we have a major Supreme Court decision that allows law-abiding innocent civilians to be able to defend themselves. Oh no, the horror. This as the government is becoming more Orwellian, more destructive towards your civil liberties and property, as they just banned another thing that's going to lead to very negative consequences. But hey, they're giving you 18 cents. So yeah, there is that. Lots of things to get into, so much so that we're just going to jump right into it. The video, of course, that we played in the beginning of this broadcast is allegedly from China, where a person is having their property taken away by the state, and through the power of fireworks becoming a little bit more ungovernable. This, as here in the United States, the government is acting more and more brazen and Chinese totalitarian communist-like, and there's nothing that perfectly expresses that and its uselessness than, of course, the TSA. As Lisa Farbstein, a TSA spokesperson, just publicly tweeted out their bounty of stolen goods from innocent civilians who dared to have oversized liquids and gels, highlighting a photo of people's personal items that the TSA ruled needed to be confiscated for everyone's safety, showing the ridiculousness and absolute wastefulness of government bureaucracy. This tweet leading to, of course, a lot of people commentating about the ridiculousness of this, as perfectly represented by this meme showing police officers proudly stealing these personal face lotions and deodorants. Because, nothing says national security like having a 95% fail rate. Yes, according to the Department of Homeland Security's own investigation, the TSA failed 95% of the times through basic security breaches. But hey, your shampoo bottles, they're great at collecting those, highlighting once again just absolute wasteful government activity that, of course, is using your tax dollars. Another perfect example of this is the disgusting show of force by the mayor of New York City that literally took a bulldozer destroying motorbikes in New York City that the city deemed illegal. The New York City Police Department, which, by the way, has an atrocious record of not protecting, of not serving, especially when it comes to the case of Joe Lozito. Look up that case if you really want to be shocked and stunned. The NYPD, by the way, confiscates at least 565 illegal bikes just within the span of the last 3 months. Those bikes were put on display and then not donated, not repurposed, not given to the person that actually bought them, but destroyed with a bulldozer in a disgusting PR campaign that predominantly is going after poor people and delivery drivers that didn't get the right government permission to ride a motor vehicle. Oh, you didn't fill out the right DMV paperwork, which is complicated, convoluted, and absolutely an entire mess of itself? Oh, we're going to take your bike and then we're going to bulldoze it. Another thing the government is great at is, of course, also not just wasting your time, wasting your money, stealing from you, but now banning arbitrary things like Juul douche flutes. I just call them douche flutes. That's just my own personal preference. Little nicotine devices. Very interesting science on nicotine, by the way. But the FDA just banned little small nicotine packages, which gives the police officers yet another thing to confiscate and arrest people for. What's next? Bulldozing Juul pods from all the yuppie hipsters in Williamsburg? The jails are going to be filled with a lot of flip-flop wearing Starbucks drinking yuppies soon, as of course the next thing to be banned is this, and it's going to lead to some very negative consequences. As of course more people will just buy cigarettes, and messing with people's nicotine addiction is not something that the government should be doing. And they're doing this all under the guise of helping people when in reality they're only helping the big tobacco companies here. I'll bet your bottom dollar Philip Morris probably came to the Biden administration, nudged a little bit of his elbow in there, coughed up some of his lung and said, hey, these electronic alternatives to our cigarettes, they're bad. And essentially, this is again, at the end of the day, the government looking out for the interests that serve them. As of course, if we really started to ban things that were really bad for us. We would be banning fast food. We would be banning high fructose corn syrup. We would be banning glyphosate. We would be banning seed and vegetable oils. We would be banning natural flavors. We would be banning a bunch of stuff if the government really did care about your personal health and safety. So this, again, highlights another egregious overreach of government power that is becoming more egregious by the day. Again, sure, we still don't know the full health benefits or consequences or negative effects of douche flutes, but why is this industry being targeted when so many unhealthy things are allowed on the market is a question that a lot of people should be asking. Other questions that people should be demanding answered immediately is, where is the video footage of what happened a few days ago in Uvalde, Texas? This, as we're finding out that the police chief has just been suspended, as of course he is actively involved in a criminal cover-up of the events that he committed down there that have led to a significant loss of life. The loss of life that is now being used by some politicians in an effort to try to disarm people in some strange way. Yeah, because there's no better case than the police officers failing and actively engaged in helping the life loss in that situation that's going to make people disarm themselves, right? A ridiculous notion. We're also hearing that some of the body cam footage allegedly has been tampered with. Again, we're still waiting for the full details to come out here, but if this is true, expect this case to get a lot crazier from here. And at the end of the day, we have to understand that it was the government that hired this police chief, and they have a very bad record of hiring some really bad people. Individuals like Mr. Epstein, Mrs. Maxwell, who of course all were on the government payroll working for them. I'm already saying too much. I'm going to be saving this topic plus a lot more on LukeUncensored.com, where there will be a new video right after this one where you could watch only exclusively for members that get exclusive merchandise, access to a forum of active, engaged members, 3 masterclasses and videos almost every single day surrounding the hot button topics and issues that, of course, are absolutely imperative and important to talk about. But sadly, we cannot facilitate this conversation here on this platform. So we're moving over to, of course, LukeUncensored.com. We hope to see you there after this video, as there is a lot of important topics to talk about that, we just can't talk about and discuss here. Our freedom, our ability to do so, all on LukeUncensored.com. See you there right after this video. Now, I think it's very fair to say, especially in the last few months and years, that very rarely do governments actually try to give people rights when, of course, exclusively they're in the business of taking it away for their own personal benefit. But today it was one of those rare moments where we had a major Supreme Court decision that has advocated for people's ability to defend themselves, allowing law-abiding citizens to be able to get the permit, to get the paperwork, to allow themselves to put their own safety in their own hands, as the Supreme Court just ruled that New York's draconian restrictions on the Second Amendment are unconstitutional, specifically with their shall issue state proceeding, which doesn't issue permits to the majority of people that have to go through the crazy, litigious, overwhelming amount of paperwork in order just to apply for a permit in New York. Now, New York's proper cause requirement to obtain a concealed carry license has been ruled unconstitutional, as the government there has been ruled at preventing law-abiding citizens their ability to defend themselves and exercising their right to bear arms in public. This is one of the most important Supreme Court decisions released in a very long time, and of course it doesn't just overturn New York law. It undermines nearly every liberal appeal court decision that has previously restricted the people's ability to bear arms. Justice Thomas ruled in this specific case, arguing that, quote, nothing in the Second Amendment text draws a home public distinction with respect to the right to keep and bear arms, and the definition of bear naturally encompasses public carry, stating specifically that the Second Amendment right to self-defense does not stop at the line of your property, and that specifically the Second and 14th Amendment protects an individual's right to carry a handgun for self-defense outside of the home. And as pointed out by Will Chamberlain, this Supreme Court decision is not only going to change the way that things have been done in New York, but the entirety of the United States, but the longer impacts of this will be felt in the Court of Appeals for decades, as of course these particular cases have now grounds to be challenged statewide to allow law-abiding citizens the ability to have a permit to conceal carry. And again, the distinctions here are important because this ruling strikes down may issue states and their ability to arbitrarily deny you. They are still upholding states' rights to choose permitting requirements, meaning if you fail a state requirement, you could still be denied access to carry, but you have to be denied for a very specific reason and not arbitrarily, which I think makes sense here. This to me is common sense gun reform in my own personal perspective, in my own personal opinion. Other people see it a little bit differently, as of course we have unhinged crazy rants by Keith Olbermann that is essentially calling for an insurrection and is saying, quote, that it's becoming necessary to dissolve the Supreme Court of the United States. That, of course, is an integral part of the checks of balances in our current ruling system. Keith Olbermann is essentially telling people to ignore this particular ruling, which you can't. This is how the law is interpreted and determined by the Supreme Court of the United States when it is challenged, as respectfully understood through the judges and their interpretation of the U.S. Constitution. These unhinged rants by Mr. Keith Olbermann are very ironic, since of course Keith Olbermann is also arguing how there is an assault on our democracy. And he's also talking about getting rid of the Supreme Court because he didn't get a decision that he wanted. Very entitled political perspectives here. There's other people who have been arguing that the Supreme Court's decision is an act of insurrection itself and that people should rebel against it immediately and to, quote, abolish it. Yeah, some people would say that is a form of insurrection itself. But the cake, of course, goes to Marina Williamson, the Crystal Lady, who says because of this decision, and again, just to clarify, because of a decision of states allowing their citizens to go through a process to apply for a concealed carry permit legally, that because of this, quote, people will die because of this. Yeah, that's unhinged. There's no data. There's nothing backing this statement. She made a rant about property rights. And the larger question that needs to be asked here, how will people die because they're able to apply for a permit? Again, there's already protest outside of the Supreme Court, with protesters threatening to shut down this country if another decision comes in and they don't get their way. But according to some people, the Supreme Court didn't even go far enough today, as of course some people are calling for nationwide constitutional carry. There's a lot of different political perspectives out there, but on this one, I think having people be able to apply for a permit and not be denied because of arbitrary reasons is an overall net positive. And law-abiding, legal citizens having the rights to protect themselves during these very turbulent, crazy times, especially in major democratic cities where criminals run loose and they're let out of prisons, with more economic instability coming our way, with governments threatening to take away more of our rights, I think more than ever, an armed society is a more polite society. And again, that's just my own personal opinion and perspective. If you thought what I said was wrong, let me know why in the comment section below. I always appreciate the constructive criticism. I always appreciate being able to hear a perspective that's not mine. A mind works best when it's open, just like a parachute, and sadly a lot of people are holding freaking anvils and only impeding themselves when it comes to this larger flight of life that we're all experiencing here today. An incredible flight if you know how to navigate it, which I strive to help people out on LukeUncensored.com. Another video coming your way right after this one. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you actively watching and sharing these videos, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for a lot more here on WeAreChange.org.